so they didn't know anything really, and doctors are still learning.
Dan really wasn't well, and it didn't matter how many times I told the consultant that something was wrong, he wouldn't have it.
We all try and trust these doctors, but they still don't know. They thought I would be in a wheelchair.
You alright? Yeah. Good. I'm gonna do some filming for you.
Well, I'll go behind him now and turn around, okay?
Spina bifida is a deformity from before you're born, basically, from what I can gather. And it basically means that part of the spine, your spine, either doesn't grow completely because it grows in two halves and it doesn't meet, there's a gap. Either that or it does form together, but disease gets in.
And there's also no cure for it, though, is there?
No, none whatsoever. No.
Bit of a shame.
Yeah, they can improve the problem with surgery, but sometimes, you know, but there's no cure at all.
With going to school, I did get picked on a lot, and I used to have very frequent seizures and used to split my head open a lot.
Smile.
I think it should be taken into schools as well. I just think, even from a young age, young children should be more aware of people's disabilities.
I never used my left hand at all until I had to do a lot of physio. So I was like ignoring this hand. But anyone would disapprove, well, I didn't get bullied at school, at one particular school, but that was through another disabled person, not an able-bodied person.
Welcome to Liberty Court.
I'm on incapacity benefit, disability living allowance, and housing benefit. As much as I can recall, it started at 18 months old.
He was our first child, and he developed his disability fairly early on.
I was taken to the East London hospital.
It took a long time to get a proper diagnosis.
I was diagnosed with epilepsy. As a child, I was never aware that I had it.
From about the age of 1, I'd say, Troy was a full-time occupation, not because he was disabled, but because he was little. Mm-hmm. And there were additional sort of safety things that we had to do to ensure that he was safe.
Because a lot of people want to get involved with caring, but they're not quite sure what to do. And I think, but they want to do the right thing, you know. And I think there was a few dilemmas with Troy's grandparents in what the right thing to do was.
Life is such a lottery. Nobody ever knows how their child is going to be born, whether they're going to have some sort of illness that affects them and gives them a disability.
Somebody said to me a few months ago when I was out visiting friends in London, which is quite a challenging place to be, in one of these. I was staying with them for a few days over the weekend. They suddenly said to me, as we got to a set of steps, only 4 steps, okay, how do we deal with this? Well, there's 2 ways. We either charge it at 90 miles an hour and get up there somehow. You've got to take me up there, basically backwards. Or there's a ramp over there. So which way would you like to do it? He went the ramp.
Do you think many people know about these conditions?
Definitely not. There's a lack of understanding and knowledge.
You know, even from a young age, young children should be more aware of people's disabilities.
How do you think the public reacts to people with disabilities, sir?
Well, they can be a bit patronising.
My dad wasn't too sure about it at all, but I think he overcome it eventually with Mum, with both of them teaming up together.
Thank you, Dan. That's lovely. Okay. But then the Professor Leonard at Great Ormond Street, turned around and said to me, in America they have treated this particular condition with diet. The alarm bells went, and I thought maybe we can start looking into this.
You could deal with the main condition of mine by diet, and so by the American story, so then it happened.
Look at Dad.
Is this
your sister? Yeah. Yeah, she's just come from hospital, hasn't she, in her Moses basket now?
Yeah.
Yes. Luckily, about 6 months previous to Lara driving, you actually were able to go to Frensham Pond. You really took to the water. You loved going off sailing, although you were with somebody to start with.
Yeah.
But we felt, because you'll never have that independency of driving a car, to be able to sail yourself would give you that freedom.
We usually get, in the mornings on a Thursday, about 35 to 40 people.
I'm one of these people that takes the bull by the horns, so to speak. Head into it, face first and head first, and then tackle the problems as they arise with everyday life, kind of thing, you know.
You also come to freewheelers for fun and stuff.
Yeah, drama and dance and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's the other thing I like doing. Yeah, that actually isn't so challenging to me. Drama isn't, anyway. Dance can be a little bit challenging. Andrea will say to me, "Can you do this?" And I go, "No, let's try." Or, what I used to do when we first met was bring my other wheelchair in as well. So I'd sit in the other one and she'd sit in this one, and I'd tell her to try it out in my chair first. If she can do it in the chair, then I can do it in the chair. Sort of thing, you know. But that's a nice challenge. That's a challenge I like doing.
I love scary films. Yeah, I'm often quite cold. In fact, I'm freezing.
Is that the case with all you ladies? Did you find the epilepsy has interfered with your life?
Very much so, yeah.
It has?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I got mine at the age of like 14, so I had a lot of things go wrong.
And I think probably from about around the age of 5, I became used to the idea that I had fits.
We became edge watchers, actually. By that we mean any environment that we were in with Troy, we had to look for the edges of things, because the edges of things was where Troy was going to fall and have a seizure, and he inevitably did, actually. Having numerous bumps to the head, stitches.
I had to take my medication, and that it wasn't going to be an easy thing, especially when going to mainstream school at the time, and that people would have to start getting used to me with having the condition. I did get picked on a lot, and I used to have very frequent seizures and used to split my head open a lot. The teachers never knew what to do. And they had to call up my parents to inform them about what was going on, and I was mostly rushed off to hospital when it occurred.
Do you want to play that or Monopoly?
I think Monopoly would be a bit too long.
Go on then, play that one.
What did your mum and dad, how did they cope with your
From day one, they coped very well. They supported me in every way. They got me into mainstream school, which I probably wouldn't have been allowed to.
He went to primary school and junior school locally. He was always supported by what they call a special needs statement, so he was supported by the local council to stay in a what you call mainstream school.
They didn't let me be outclassed by other people. They told my teachers what to do in the event of a seizure.
I know that he went through a lot of bullying at school.
They wouldn't stand for any type of nonsense about whether anyone disliked the fact that I had it.
We were in constant contact with the school. We tried to address the issues, but of course most of the issues would occur outside the school gate, and that is not something that the school would deal with.
We opted for a physically handicapped unit attached to mainstream school. There came a point where we had to look at a moderate learning difficulty school.
goes through to there, through there, down, and ends up connecting to that?
Up till 13, Dan coped very well in that environment.
I guess you'd have to start in schools and things like that if you wanted to educate people more about disabilities and things.
By the way, what is the norm nowadays?
It's basically down to education at an early age, you know, to teach, kids when they're young and then they grow up to, appreciate that everybody's different.
Disabled people themselves should go into school, I think.
Last week I forgot to give it back to him. I've been here for roughly, I think a year or 2 years. And I started with another class who's moved on, where the teacher moved on with them to the next class up.
Has he ever expressed that he notices that he's got his condition?
Yes, I think, yes, to answer your question, I think he does, especially with the food levels. He knows when the blood sugars are dropping, he knows that, I need to eat, and if I don't, then I could become quite poorly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meals in one day. 5 things to do in one day. If I was still hungry, well, that's my condition. But now I've got older, my body's still doing the same thing, but I'm able to cope with a longer period than I used to.
Yeah, and then we need another one to make it like one. I found a triangle.
It's not the right colour, but this is the right pattern. That's it, isn't it?
For Dan, it's actually worked out that his left hand is a lot weaker.
Not too far. That way. Like that, I think.
and his right foot, as it's turned out, for Dan.
More recent thing being added to your condition, haven't you?
Yeah.
Called OI.
Yeah, that's right. That's the short version.
Yeah.
The technical version is orthostatic intolerance. That's the one it's called. That's actually a completely different challenge that I've not had to deal with before. But basically, it's a blood pressure problem I have. The symptoms that I get can suddenly occur anytime, anywhere, to any severity. You know, they can be either very severe or not too bad. I'm missing a mechanism in my brain that tells my blood pressure, my heart, to pump the blood fast when I either sit up or lie down or bend over or turn round. So I go very dizzy.
There's no cure for that either, is there?
No, there's no cure for that one. It affects 1 in 4 women, 1 in something like 1,000, maybe more men. And that's the only thing I get a little bit annoyed about, is that my specialists all seem to say to me every time they see me, more drugs, more medications.
And then those that end up having side effects, and you had drugs to overcome those side effects.
Yeah, which I've had a couple of times. Yeah, it's a juggling act. You know, you get a new set of drugs, and you have to bring your drugs in, the ones you're already on, the medications you're on. Read all the labels and figure out that can't go with that, that can't go with that. So what do we do? And that can go with that, but not that. So what do we do?
Well, my seizures aren't really that bad. I don't usually seem to have them except for like once a year or so. When they do come, they can probably like knock me out for anything up to a week or so, and they also like probably knock my confidence quite a bit.
Yeah.
Everyone has been supportive within the entire family over the years, and I think I'm grateful for everyone being behind me in whatever way they can be.
The age of 17, in fact, Troy left mainstream education, and those were the reasons that he left. He left because he couldn't be supported in the way that he needed to be adequately, and also he was becoming very socially isolated.
After school, I went on to mainstream high school, and it wasn't much different, and it got worse with the bullying. There was a lot of violent episodes, and quite a few times when I probably got expelled. There was a few episodes where the staff and support workers didn't understand my condition.
Is this Shady Oaks Care Home?
Yeah.
Very professional.
And also the achievement, I think, from that Freewheelers show for sort of all the people involved in it, in the performance, was that they had really pushed themselves. You could see it.
I think it's much better.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I think
they used to be institutionalised. I mean, Crane Hill and what have you, people used to be put away, and you never used to see them again. And the families were ashamed, where they're not now.
Yes, when I look back, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this interview 10 years ago. I would have, I know I would have gone to pieces, but now I feel, it's a lot easier because Daniel has done so well. But the first few years were very emotional because we were in and out of hospital all the time. We had a daughter who, you know, her needs needed to be met, but it was difficult to spend time with Lara, who's Dan's sister. And we were also warned at Great Ormond Street that Peter, my husband, our relationship, you know, could have its difficulties. And in a way, it was good that they warned us, because actually it helped us to really come together and work as a team.
It puts great strains on relationship. I mean, we're still together. We're not divorced, but it's very common, I think, with relationships that people do get divorced. Because it puts incredible strain on people's relationships and makes it hard for them to survive or do things as individuals as well as couples, and that is a big what would you call it, a feature or a pressure on a lot of relationships.
I mean, I believe having Troy and looking after him and sort of being involved in the world of people with disabilities has made my life better.
Once I fix a jib into position, I don't need to touch that unless I need to change direction.
Is that nice and spick and span, do you think? Yes?
Yeah.
Well, I do suppose it can be quite difficult for anyone with a child that has any condition.
Yeah, it was, yes.
Got it? Right underneath the pulley, underneath the wheel. Goes through.
We call Dan's condition a mild form of cerebral palsy.
Yeah, I'm fairly more independent than I used to be. Also, I like watching films at the cinema. Also, theatre is where I enjoy when I go with my mum and dad. So I can still reach it when it's,
You've got your joystick there.
Yeah.
So everything is very close to hand in the boat. Okay, and so it makes sailing very efficient. And it's very well supported at the sides as well for stability and movement of a helm in there.
Seem to overcome most of your challenges by the sound.
Yeah. Well, that's the only way to deal with it. My dad said to me when I think it was about 7 or 8, I was whinging and getting really angry and fed up, you know. He just walked past me, stopped, came back and stopped in front of me, poked me, and then he said, "Shut up, you're still alive, get on with it. There are people far worse than you in the world, so, you know, you've got nothing to whinge about, so shut up and get on with it." And that's all it took. It worked a treat. You know, it did shock me into thinking, yeah, hang on a minute, I'm not really any different from anybody else. I am still alive. You know, I've had my hassles, but I am still alive, so get on with it.